This poem is all about jesters' hats and top hats and all sorts of hats. It's called The Night I Lost Your Hat, for an unnamed Morris dancer, who I also lost my virginity to, but I don't think I can say that. Okay, that's another poem altogether. Okay, well, this poem could be about losing hats, but then again it could be about losing other things as well. So it goes like this. I've forgotten it. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Are you ready? Here it goes. It goes like this. You hung around longer than most, and to your credit I'll give you that. But I think I truly lost your love on the night I lost your hat. Sure, there'll be other hats, but they just don't fit the same. That's my poem about hats. And that's why I make money as a cartoonist.
Meet Brent Harpur.
Too much here. Can't get that one on.
A man of many hats. Cartoonist, muralist, performer, teacher, poet.
Oh, I'm picking up the rugby. I think today I'll be a jester.
He has a hat for everything he does, and he tries to prevent confusion by combining these differing roles as a specialist in corporate humour resources.
Oh, good colour coordination.
Or as a speaker, trainer and facilitator.
Ready to go to work.
But whatever the job is for the day, his early morning tends to begin with difficult decisions, confusion and panic.
For the last 27 years, cartooning, before I became disabled through my sight loss, was a way of tackling the world and all its frustrations or things that may have been scary when I was younger. But as I got older and I started losing my eyesight, it was a way of hitting back at the world, I guess, and responding to things that may be frustrating, like not being able to drive a car, for example. So when I was younger, I used to draw a lot of cartoons that would reflect that, or meeting people who maybe weren't very nice to me, so my response would be to draw a cartoon based on that. So I think cartooning or any kind of art is a good outlet for someone with a disability to maybe experience that more.
Life for Brent has been enriched by his poor eyesight, which has, in a way, been the inspiration for his work as a cartoonist and encouraged his wacky sense of humour.
I can laugh at myself. I mean, last week I was walking down the street and I walked into a door and broke my glasses, and it's just a fact of life for me. So these are the things that I find amusing, and I can get up and do some stand-up comedy about my plight as a half-blind cartoonist. But I mean, I guess humour is such a subjective sort of subject, really. It's what one person finds funny, another person might find maybe a little. They might shy off the subject of humour when it's relating to disability. I started losing my eyesight at 11 or 12, and from that point on, a lot of people think it's quite ironic I chose to be a cartoonist, but that's all I could see to do. So at high school, I had a lot of people would be saying, oh, you know, I'd like you to draw this bowl of fruit or these mountains out the window, and I couldn't actually see them. And unfortunately for me, in my fourth form year at school, my art teacher hated cartoons. So I thought, well, I don't think I'll keep drawing after this, but cartooning was the one thing I kept going back to. I guess a lot of cartoons you see around you come from your imagination, so I didn't necessarily have to draw from real life. I could draw from my imagination. But I think from a humour perspective, that's come a lot later. I mean, these days I make a lot of money sort of taking cartooning one step further and turning it into a performance art or painting murals at conferences and things. So sometimes my humour is what the client wants, and other times when I get to create for me, it's always a bit darker or maybe reflective more of my disability and how I see the world. There you go. How's that? Would you like me to roll it up for you? Your hair's underneath your helmet.
Today, Brent entertains the customers at Whitcoul's bookshop Lambton Quay with his own heady mixture of comic banter and cartooning.
Now, women are harder to draw because they hit harder, okay? Wow, that's really exciting.
It is.
So do you like red wine or white wine?
White. Or whatever's going actually.
Some people think I'm a better poet than a cartoonist. So. A lot of my work I generate these days is like being comedian or entertainer at a function. So I'm not only running around drawing people, but the challenge is attributed to that. I mean, a very good example is I like telling the story of I was drawing a woman at a function once and I drew a nose ring on her nose. And I gave the picture to her after a few minutes of drawing and chatting to her. And she asked what the thing was I'd drawn on her nose. And I said, oh, it's your nose ring. And she said, oh, I don't have one. And it turned out it was a very large pimple on her nose. And it's just hilarious. Things like that, I can laugh at them in hindsight. At the time, it was a bit embarrassing for a minute, but then we're both sort of funny side to it. But I do a lot of speaking now to people, and the irony is getting up and talking to a group of people who I can't even see. And I like making them laugh because that's the way of seeing whether they're enjoying themselves. I can't see way back and see if they're falling asleep.
People pause to watch and then get caught up in what Brent is doing and cue to pose. Then it's up to the psychologist in Brent to dig deep to make an apt and comic comment about each one without offending them.
What are you reading at the moment?
Oh, no logo by Naomi Klein.
At the front of our store, Woodcourts are recognising local talent. We have Brent Harpur, the local cartoonist, and an absolutely fantastic artist. If you'd like yourself to be drawn in a cartoon character by Brent, he's only too happy to do that as well. Come on down and have a look at the superb talent, Brent Harpur, the local cartoonist, and, of course, local artist at Woodcourts Lantern Key.
Humour with Brent is a great way of relieving stress, as he demonstrates in his corporate and cartooning classes with adults.
Now the fun part of being a cartoonist is you're going to get all sorts of horrible corporate deadlines to draw your pictures by. So I'm just going to run you through a quick bout in stress relief. How many people here would like to admit they had a stressful day at work today? I did, yeah. Not really. I had to paint a mural. So what we're going to do, how many people here know this word quite well? Is it part of your vocabulary? You're a teacher there, Jason, so you have all these kids stressing you out all day.
Desserts.
Well, yeah. So if we take the word stress backwards, what do we get?
Desserts.
In other words, chocolate biscuits.
So that's why we have the chocolate biscuits, remember? Now, sometimes chocolate is not enough, so what I'd like you all to do is grab yourself a piece of paper and I'd like you to write on your piece of paper, just a couple of seconds here, 5 or 10 words of something in life that stresses you out. Okay, if everybody can put their pen down but stand up with their piece of paper, their piece of stress. So, okay, so what we're going to do this to our piece of paper. We're going to go... It's all ending in tears. I'm feeling a bit screwed up. Okay, so... just for your benefit, I'm going to unscrew again so you guys can do it with me. So on the count of 3, hopefully there's no cameras walking past outside. Okay, so on the count of 3, all your stress from the last week is going to go in there. Not just what you've written on there, but all the other stresses of the week as well. Are you ready? 1, 2, 2.5, 3, go! I mean, there's so many degrees of humour. I mean, I've spent 10 years teaching cartooning. That's what I do for an income. And I've worked with kids right through to corporates. And I go into prisons now, old folks' homes. I mean, I find things funny that are just incidental, you know, like little tiny things in between. You know, like you might have a whole day mapped out to do a workshop with somebody. And it's the little tiny things, like I almost give people permission in my workshops to be the comedian. I'm getting paid to almost facilitate the humour. So they think I'm going to come in and make them all laugh for a day or half a day, but it's actually me gently encouraging them to bring their own humour out, and then I stand back and let them go for it. So, yeah. So humour, I guess there's so many kinds of humour, and I guess what I find funny is, like I said, laughing at myself. I take a leaf out of, say, Woody Allen's book, where it's good to laugh at your own human frailties.
Welcome to a day at Maidstone Intermediate School with Brent Harpur, wearing his teacher's hat.
A famous American writer whose name I can't remember because he's not a cartoonist said that we become what we pretend we are. So for the last 10 years of my life I've been pretending to be a cartoonist and a teacher, and now this is what I do for a job. What do you do before you play sport? You have to warm up, don't you? And you have to like stretch and stuff. So what we're going to do, I want everybody to hold their pen up like this, but not too high because I haven't put my deodorant on today. Okay, so I'm going to stand on a chair, which we won't tell Osh about. Can I steal your chair for a second? I'll just stand on a chair so you guys can see me better. Okay, so what we're going to do is the cartoonist workout. I actually call it the Jane Fonda cartoonist workout. And what we're going to do, Tussie's going to do us a beat to get us going really energetically. So just like you were doing, if you want, take it away. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go. 2, oops, 1, oops, hold on, we've got it the wrong way round. 1, 2, 1, 2, and again, 1, 2. Teachers are doing so well. Now teachers on their own, everyone looking around. 1, 2. Well, I've done a lot of work with the education system, and after 10 years of teaching, I'm suddenly a consultant, and I go into conferences and teach teachers or show them how I can control kids. I mean, I've learnt most of what I do over the last 10 years through trial and error. And the thing is, when I first go in and work with kids, I'd be silly to tell them I can't see them, because then they'll just act up and be silly. But at the end of doing a workshop with them for a couple of hours, then I'll give them that little affirmation at the end that here I am, a half-blind cartoonist making a living. 2 things that hopefully will sort of get them thinking a bit more about their own situations. And everybody else at your table has to try and guess which expression you've drawn on your face. So go, hold them up.
Angry.
So hold them behind you.
Confused.
When I was younger, I did suffer from quite bad asthma from about the age of 5 onwards, so I spent a lot of my time in hospital beds recovering from asthma attacks, so I started developing my cartooning. But it wasn't until I got to 11 or 12 that my eyesight started sort of turning to crap. So I guess in the short term it was the disability came later really. My mum and dad used to find pictures all over the house that I've been drawing, and I used to, when I was probably 5, I just started really getting a real connection with cartooning. I always enjoyed sort of things like Walt Disney. I mean, one of my biggest childhood memories is watching the Walt Disney on Sunday nights on TV, and I used to just be fascinated by the animated cartoons like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, and I just slowly through my younger life just used my cartooning as a means of sort of coping with life really. I sort of spent a lot of my time hiding in the sandpit or drawing cartoons, and my mum and dad always worried that I'd never have a social job, that I'd always be quite reclusive, but I guess the irony is I've turned my career into a very social job where I meet thousands of people. So I guess cartooning when I was younger, before I started losing my eyesight, was just a way of keeping myself entertained in my own little private world, really.
Getting in touch with Brent is best done on the internet, www.brentharpur.co.nz.